I asked, very sorry for my deformation, professional deformation. So for quoted Aristotle, for quoted Thomas Aquinas, and for quoted the dawns of the faith. So we can say it's a vision, it's a Christian vision of the problem, because I start by the gospel. And this dialogue that maybe is one of the more interesting dialogue that we find in the gospel, also philosophical, theological, and also practical, sociological, etc. All the dimensions of the human being. So, you know, Pontius Pilatus' question to Christ in the Passion, and this is only proposed by the Gospel of John. We can say the Gospel of John is the Gospel of the truth, not in the same way of the other Gospels. And we can say that was John to put really the problem of the foundation of truth that was, in some sense, put in evidence by the Greeks, not by the other cultures. We don't find in the other cultures the same interest to the truth. That is very interesting question. So, but the definitive idea of truth is put by St. John, really. We don't find another author so where is so central the idea of truth. So, at the question of Pilatus, are you a king? And what is the truth? And of course, Pilatus don't want to hear the response of Christ. And they wash his hands to say, oh. And I think this is really the problem that we have today. We have in every time the same problem, but it's also especially the problem of our days. The people don't want to know what is the truth, but also it's evident that the people to say we want to live in the post-truth is also to say some truth, but it's a sophistic truth, as say Aristotle with the relativism. Yeah, we don't have any absolute truth. So you have the truth that we don't have the truth. That is a contradiction. So this is clear of the point of view, really theoretical and philosophical. So Christ say, I am the truth. And I am the way, I am the life. And this is the really truth. And of course, in the theological tradition, there are many divisions of this, because God is the truth by essence, according to the formula of Thomas Aquinas. But the human in this life can see directly the truth of God, but they have many participation of this truth. This is also the formulation of Thomas Aquinas. So God is the truth, but yes, we have many truths, many truths. And in the end, we have the truth of life, that is to live according with our nature and our vocation. And we have the truth in the communication, the virtue of the truth in the communication of the other. And we have the virtue of the truth in the communication, not of the realities, but in the communication of the goods. And it's the truth of justice. More or less, this is the classification classic that Thomas Aquinas followed in the end. But attention, for St. Paul, we know that exists the original sin. And as say many times, John Paul II, I quoted, my text is very long, so I speak, and you can read all the foundation in the text. As say John Paul II, this idea of the end of the truth and of the original sin have a very important influence in the society, especially, of course, the original truth. And it's impossible to understand the society, say John Paul II, to say some pope near to us. And the consequence of this have in the society, if we don't have the idea of the original truth that exists and have influence in our life. Also, if we can understand the relation of the people, and of course, the relation of justice, the relation of truth, and the relation of life. So I think that really in the measure that we lost these fundamental realities that are have an imposition systematic for the theology in Thomas Aquinas, for me in the best way, really we start with lost some truths, another truth, another truth, another truth, and we arrive to the society that not have more not have more interest for the truth. But look, I think this just in our discussion is we say in philosophy we have the transcendentals that are the more important, the columns of the reality, and these are the good ends, entity, ends. I don't know in English or entity. Entity is you don't have exactly the translation of ends in Latin, but anyway, entity, end, good, truth, justice, beautiful. As you quoted the text of the Pope, John Francis, yes. And if we don't accept it, some foundation of this transcendental foundation, this transcendental are used until Kant. Kant used the transcendental with a more important truth in philosophy, say Kant. We lost all these dimensions of the reality. That is clear. And today we have nothing as very a promotion of the nothing. We come from the nothing and go to nothing. And this is, in the end, many philosophy that we have today. And we are product of, in the question of sciences, really, we don't have the idea of the scientist people have, but it's an ideology of sciences many times proposed by philosophers of sciences that are not recognized for the scientist people. For example, the theory of Popper in the academy, we have 25 Nobel Prize, and they don't follow the idea of Popper. They think that they can find a truth, and not is an hypothesis of truth. So this is incredible thing that they don't. The same for evolution. We have next week a very important meeting. So our early fathers, just the beginning, Lucy, we have here in the academy Coppens, that is the discovery of Lucy, 5 billions of time. And we study the religiosity of these people, because these people was religious. So this is not the same that we understand for the evolution normally, but it's encountered. So I want to say the mentality of science that want to communicate many times media are nothing to do with the real scientist people to discover the truth, because they put all their life to find the truth in science and not to find some hypothesis of truth. when we speak about COVID and the solution of COVID, we don't speak about hypotheses. We speak about the things that they think that are the truth, and the solution are truth. So when we speak about evolution, they don't think. If the people more interested in these questions don't speak about the theory of evolution that comes from the cows, and we are part of the matter, maybe the more complicated part of the matter, but only matter. No, they don't say this. They say just the contrary. But in the media, the evolution, the theory of evolution is to arrive to say, we are not spirit, we don't have soul, we are matter and nothing more. So this is the question. I think for this reason, I think, in according with many of your opinions, that all the universities need to have a very important faculty of sciences. And unfortunately, the majority of the Catholic university not have faculty of sciences, so don't understand nothing of sciences and think that sciences are an opinion. So this is the consequence. Science is nothing, but it's not this. I come for humanistic studies, but I recognize after 25 years to be here that is real, very important, central, the question of science. So, and we don't need to repeat the things that are very well said for you about the situation today, but maybe I want to put the question in a more radical vision, we can say. And I think that what is in the end the real cause of these propositions of like the post-truth and post-good and post-beautiful, okay, are all the things in post-end, post-truth, post-good, beautiful. What are these? Not accepted the doctrine of transcendental, that is the more important doctrine that we have in philosophy, and is put by the classic, so Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. Aristotle make a theory about this, and arrived until Plato, of course, Hegel, by the way, put this sentence to say that we need to follow the truth, and put Pilatus like just the contrary. So to say the great modern philosophers also accepted this. And also the more contemporary, the more important contemporary, the majority. So what is the main cause of this? I think that we have two very interesting definitions in the magisterium of the popes. First of all, in John Paul II. When John Paul II see the great revolution in the course of the history, that was the change in the communist situation, in European communist, I don't know European, but in Russia, he was very happy and think that this was a real change in the history, and was. But in the last year, he denounced a new crisis, a new dictatorship, he say, especially in the document for the Europa countries, and also in his last book, and say, we today have the new dictatorship of the of the he say silent apostasy of the Western, silent apostasy of the Western. And I think that this is more concerned than the same communist theory, because it's a silent apostasy against to the real values, against, of course, of Christian religion, but against to real values that was in the formation of the European countries. And this is made by just the people to form it, the conform it and form the European countries. This is one thing. Pope Benedict say, we have the dictatorship in the first speech that he do, before to be Pope, just when he speak about in the Mass, in the celebration of John Paul II's death, he say, we are in the dictatorship of relativismos. Dictatorship of relativismos. And Pope Francis say, we are not only dictator, but we are in the dictatorship of the money. You know, in the documents of the Pope say 8 times, you go to the end, the problem is the money, say Pope Francis, very concretely. And of course, I think this dictatorship is a sort of, I say Pope Francis sometimes, is a sort of materialism, radical materialism, revolutionistic materialism, all that you want, but you don't speak more about spirit. So it's the idea of truth are nothing. We don't speak more about soul, about other realities that are not material. So, and Pope Francis say another things that is really very interesting, and I think that is true. And he say many times, we are to be colonized, a new colonization, and this colonization is from the mainstream, from the pensée unique. What is a pensée unique? If you go to Davos, the last meeting of Davos, I was invited 2 times to be in Davos, but the last meeting, I read the papers of the people. Anyone speak about religion, and someone when speak about religion say religion, oh, it's a medieval thing, because we are the salvation of us. We don't have another possibility to have salvation without us. So, not God. I speak about this in Madrid recently, and we have the rabbi, more important rabbi of Madrid, and also the Muslims. And they, when I say these things, they say, yes, yes, is this. So all the religious people are very concerned about this, especially Christians, especially Catholics, but also other people. And really, I think we have an evolution of this, and we have more more evidence about this with the COVID, because in the COVID, only the English governor, Johnson, in Easter say, I am a Christian and I believe in Christ, that is the truth and the life. Only Johnson, but no one governor. No, also the American government normally is religious. No Argentinian COVID that come here to us to help for the money. No, the other governments say nothing about God. In other times, when we have this kind of problem, they invoke God to help us. But they don't invoke God because they don't believe more in God. So, and the media don't believe more in God because follow the dictatorship of the money. In the end, it's the money. Yes, the emotions, but the emotion is money. So I want to say, what could be the solution of this? And it's very simple. We can follow the ideas of classics that are synthesized very good by Thomas Aquinas. So the first thing is we need to be authentic. What do we say today? We need to live in the truth. To live in the truth and to live in the vision of the other life. And this is really important. And to have the grace of Christ. And we need to have the grace of Christ also in the society, because like we need the grace of Christ for the each individual to change the tendency that we have for the original sin and to elevate to the other life. And also in the relation of the matrimony, in the sacrament of the matrimony. And we need also for all the society, the grace of Christ, to realize the fraternity that want to have Pope Francis. In the contrary, and after, if you be in the grace of Christ and you be in the truth, you can communicate the truth to the other. And this is the virtue of truth. And this is very important because the virtue is an election. To say the truth is an election, it's a virtue, it's not spontaneous. No, we need to choose to say the truth to the other. That is, communicate truth passed by an election. And the election is very important, it's the virtue. And also to do the truth to the other, that is the justice. Thank you very much.
Thank you.